What's up, you guys? It's KeAmber Vaughn, aka CoachKe, coming back to you with another video. If you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you are not new, welcome back. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and also tap the bell so that you are notified of every new video that I post. So as you guys can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be going through 5 simple tips that can help you to save more money. Now, there's a little bit of controversy out there as far as whether people should save money while they're still in debt or not. And I'm not really sure why this is even controversy to begin with. I see this comment a lot from people on my Dave Ramsey video, them telling me, oh, it doesn't make sense why you're continuing to save so much money while you're in debt, blah, 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 blah. And let me tell you something. First of all, I feel like you should save money regardless if you're in debt or not, for the simple fact that if you exhaust most of your energy and money and resources on getting out of debt, what happens if you're halfway out of debt and then you lose your job, you get laid off, you get sick and you can't work for a couple of months and you don't have that much leave time left? What are you going to do at that point? Because you've exhausted so much of your resources and money on getting out of debt, and let's say you only have $1,000 or $1,500 saved up, what do you do then? You're kind of screwed, right? So I feel like saving money is something that is very vital and important regardless of if you're in debt or not. But the other thing that doesn't make sense is why people, say something about me saving money while being in debt, yet they watch all of these people on YouTube who do follow Dave Ramsey and, they have all of these different sinking funds that they're saving into while they're paying off debt at the same time. So it's like, I'm doing the same exact thing. It's just my money went into emergency funds instead of sinking funds. And regardless, Dave Ramsey actually tells you to have sinking funds and contribute to sinking funds while you are getting out of debt. The only thing that I've seen him say to stop doing is to stop saving money in your emergency fund after $1,000. And then he also tells you to stop contributing to your 401k, 403b, whatever. But he's okay with sinking funds, which means that he's okay with you saving money past that $1,000. It's just a matter of if you put a label as a sinking fund or an emergency fund. I personally continue to contribute to an emergency fund. That's just me. But I have had some people in my comment section also ask me for some different tips on how to save more money because they have problems with saving. Something that I've never ever had a problem with was saving money, because that was one of the few money, or finance tips that my parents did give me pretty young growing up. Even when I was a lot younger, I would save my money from birthdays and holidays continuously over and over until I found something that I wanted to buy, whether it was a computer game, a computer, a video game system, and then I spent my money on that. I never spent all of my money at one time, and then I would continue to save and save and save. One of my best money saving moments, I would say, was my very last semester of high school. I was 16 years old. I graduated high school at 16. I wanted to buy a car so that I could have it in my first year of college. And so I got a job I think it was in January or February of my senior year. I was only making maybe $9 or $10. I was probably making $8.50 or $9 an hour. I can't remember. I worked at a car rental place, and I basically checked the cars in and out essentially, and I would check the cars for damage before they left out so that I knew when they brought the car back if this damage was new or not. And so I literally just worked as much as I could until that summer before I went off to college, and I saved enough money for me to buy my first car cash. The car was about $2,600 or $2,700, I remember, and then of course having to pay the property taxes and stuff like that, so it came up to be about $3,000. How I saved all of that money, of course I had some extra money also from saving from birthday to birthday, but the majority of that cash transaction came from me working. So I've never had a problem with saving, but I do understand that not everybody kind of grew up with the same principles that I did, which is why we're making this video. So tip number 1 is to pay yourself first. I always tell people to start small, because saving for most people is something that is new, and also really saving money to keep it saved, because I do know some people who save money and then they transfer it back to their checking later on in the month and they spend it. So I always tell people to start small. If you have to start with something as small as 5%, that's fine. But I tell people that your goal is to get somewhere between 10 and 15% at least. And so when I say pay yourself first, that means as soon as the money from your check hits your bank account, on your payday, you want to immediately transfer 10 to 15% out of your account into a savings account to pay yourself first. This is very important because when you sit back and think about it, you are the person who worked hard for your money, not Charter or Time Warner or whoever you have your cable through, not Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, not any of these people. These people did not go to work, for 40 hours a week, 20 hours a week. I don't care how many hours you work per week. They did not go to work for that money. You did. So it's essential for you to pay yourself first. Now, this also helps you when you save your money and pay yourself first. This also helps you with expenses, because a lot of people tend to try to save money after they've already spent however much money that they spend, and that's backwards. You want to save your money and you want to spend what's left after saving, and that's actually a Warren Buffett quote if you did not know. So tip number 2 is to have a savings account that is unlinked or not linked to your checking account. This is something that's very important for people who have spending issues. Now, an example of this would be, let's say that your main checking account is with Bank of America, like mine. Then you do not want to have Bank of America's savings account. Why? Because it's very easy for you to just go in and transfer money back and forth very, very easily. And that's where a lot of people fail at when it comes to saving money. So me personally, I have my savings account with Ally Bank, and I would actually personally, I would tell you guys to get an online savings account or with an online bank like Ally, because a lot of times with the online banks, your interest rates on these accounts will be a lot higher. Now, I know some people say, hey, go to a credit union and stuff like this. From my experience, the online banks actually pay you a way higher interest rate. I know that when I had my Bank of America savings, my interest rate was 0.01%, like 0.01. That ain't nothing, you know what I mean? And so I tried out a credit union. I forgot who it was, but theirs was only like 0.6%. And this was like some years ago, probably like 2 years ago. And with Ally Bank, I started off with 1% or 1.05% in January of 2017. And as of today, it's 1.5%. So my interest rate has continued to increase and increase every couple of months. And who's to say that it'll continue to increase? I don't know. But I can tell you that my Bank of America savings will still be at 0.01% after all of these years of me having money with them. Yes. So the other thing with having an unlinked account, just not the simple fact that you could possibly get a better interest rate, is because it's so much harder for you to transfer money back and forth. Now, if you have a spending problem, I would tell you, do not use Zelle. Now, I do use Zelle to transfer my money from my checking to my savings over at Ally, because it's a lot quicker than just doing like a wire transfer or a regular transfer that might take like up to 3 business days. But I never have to transfer money back to my checking because, I handle my expenses very well. But if you do have a spending problem, do not use Zelle when you transfer back. I would always suggest that people do the regular transfer, because if you have a spending problem, and let's say you're out there and you see some $50 shoes that you really, really want, of course, if you Zelle it back to yourself, it's back to you like within minutes. But if you have to do the transfer where it takes like up to 3 business days, then by the time that money hits, you're probably not going to want the shoes anymore, right? So that is very important that you do it that way. Now, I do personally have the checking account with Ally as well. And the only reason that I do that is because the way that I do my budgeting, when I save money for rent, I save, like for this month, for instance, I'll be saving money in May to pay my June rent. And so I transfer that money to an Ally savings account that I have. And so once I'm ready to pay my rent the following month, I just transfer the money from my Ally savings into my checking checking, swipe my debit card, and that's that. But again, if you have money issues, if you have spending issues, I would not suggest that you have a checking account linked to your savings account. Now, number 3, my third tip is for you to automate your savings. Now, I still suggest that you do the 10 to 15% of your check. Now, if you are someone who has like a set check, maybe you're on a salary, or maybe you get paid hourly and you don't ever work overtime or work less than the 40 hours or 20 hours or however many hours that you have, then you can go in and automate that 10 to 15% from there. But if you really want to hit it hard, I would go ahead and manually save the 10 to 15% or manually transfer that 10 to 15%. And then somewhere towards the end of the month, or maybe your second check of the month, if you get paid twice a month or bi-weekly, I would just go ahead and automate something to be like $200 or $250 to automatically come out the day of or the day after that last paycheck of the month. And so that's forcing you to save that money and to pay yourself first again on top of the 10 to 15%, and that will increase the amount of money that you're saving every month. Now, tip number 4 is for you to save in the form of sinking funds and or emergency funds. Now, how you do your emergency funds is all up to you. Some people have a $1,000 emergency fund, some people have a $3,000, some people have more than that. I personally do $3,000 because I feel like $1,000 is not enough. $3,000 for me would be about 2 months worth of my monthly bills, and so I feel like that is better than $1,000 because $1,000 wouldn't even cover 1 month of my bills for me personally. So it's really all up to you. And then of course you also want to have what they call a true emergency fund that is worth 6 months worth of your monthly expenses. Now you can save for these simultaneously, you can save for them one by one, that's all up to you. And then of course again you want to add sinking funds to that. Now you have some people out here who have like 15 sinking funds. I personally couldn't do it. If you're not really sure what sinking funds are, I will link up in the eye in the sky what sinking funds are, how you use them, etc. I personally right now only have 2 sinking funds. That's for my income taxes and also for future investments. And so when you have these specific funds that you are saving for, you're more likely to hit your savings goals than if you just say, okay, I'm just going to save 10 to 15%, but you don't really know what you're going to do for them with the money or what the money is really being saved for. So I personally feel like for most people that I kind of help out and do a little bit of financial coaching with, I've noticed that they save more money a lot more efficiently when they have some kind of goal to strive for with the use of sinking funds or emergency funds, or let's say they're saving for a car or something like that, which leads me into tip number 5, which is for you to set realistic goals. You know, setting goals, whether it's for the emergency fund, the sinking fund, I want to buy a new car, you know, I want to buy a new camera, I want to go on vacation, whatever it is, you want to set that goal in a realistic manner. You want to have it time specific. And once you set that goal, you want to do what we call reverse engineering, which means, for instance, let's say that my goal is to save that first $3,000 for my mini emergency fund. And let's say that I want to do it in 12 months. Well, at that point, I'm going to take the $3,000 divided by the 12 months, and that's going to cause me to have to save $250 per month in order for me to reach that goal. So after I reverse engineer it, now I have to sit down and think, okay, is it realistic? Do I have $250 per month after all of my expenses to be able to save to put into my mini emergency fund so that I can reach this goal after a year? If that is not realistic, that means that you need to move that goal around, reset it. Either you need to reduce that $3,000. I personally wouldn't. I would just increase the time that it takes to do it. Maybe now you're saying, okay, I only have this much money, so I need to increase the number of months by this many months. The other thing that you can do is say, listen, if I want to really push myself, if I have to save $250 per month and I get paid twice a month, that means that every paycheck that I have, if I'm getting paid twice a month, I need to set that $125 off to the side to sit in my mini emergency fund. Now, this can be part of your 10 to 15%. Or it could be your 10 to 15% plus that 125. It all depends on you. But setting those goals and reverse engineering it is the most important thing. So often I see people who either don't have goals at all, or they set the goals but they don't have a specific plan of getting there. You have to have a plan, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So most people fail when it comes to money because they fail to plan. So they are planning to fail with their money, right? So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. These are my 5 tips for being able to accelerate your savings or saving more of your hard-earned money. Please thumbs up this video, subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
Sound.